In 1996, Jim and I were asked to present a trophy at the Brit Awards. We shared a porter cabin dressing room with Jarvis Cocker. The actual awards show is quite dull and sweaty, and so at some point I abandoned watching it and hung around the backstage bars. Suddenly, Anth, the Pulp guitarist, rushed up to me. Bob, Michael Jackson's goons have arrested Jarvis. They've got him locked up. You're a solicitor. You got to help him, he begged in his rich Sheffield accent. Hold on, Anth, what are you on about? It doesn't make any sense. Michael Jackson's people can't arrest anyone. They're not the police. What's Jarvis done anyway? I haven't got a clue, but come and look. They've got him surrounded. I followed Anth back to where our porter cabin was, and sure enough its doors were shut, and there stood 6 goons, all dressed in black suits and ties, guarding the entrance. Are you sure he's in there? I asked Anth. Yes, I watched them march him in. Is he on his own in there? Yeah, I reckon. And you have no idea what he's done? I haven't got a clue. The cabin was my dressing room after all, so I marched up to what appeared to be the lead goon. Excuse me, I need to get into my dressing room. That's not possible at this moment in time, sir. So why not? I'm afraid the room has been used for security purposes. Now, could you please move away, sir, and let us just do our job? Yeah, but I need to get some of my stuff out of there. That will not be possible at this moment in time. Please move away. I was surrounded by these goons. These blokes were massive and looked like they possessed a full set of adult fighting skills. We retreated back to the nearby bar. As we stood watching the porter cabin and the goons, we both began to feel angry about these American blokes acting like they were above the law. Jarvis was likely to be pretty scared trapped in that room on his own. I thought I would have a go at coming over all legalistic. We walked up to Daddy Goon again, and I declared that I was a lawyer acting on behalf of Jarvis, and I wished to have immediate access to my client. If such access was denied, I would consider the situation to be false imprisonment and would seek the assistance of the police to gain access. Daddy Goon just told me to fuck off. We searched around and I managed to find a lovely female police officer. I think the news of Jarvis's arrest had begun to spread, and there were more and more people beginning to gather on the concourse near the cabin. I explained to the police officer that Michael Jackson's security men had trapped Jarvis in our dressing room and that they wouldn't let him out or let me in. She told us to stay where we were and she would go over and talk to them. When she returned from speaking to them, it was clear from her face that she was furious. She told us that they were holding Jarvis because he had assaulted Michael Jackson and some of his stage dancers. They would not let anyone see him until they had spoken to the person in charge of the awards. We were all getting an increasing feeling of who do they think they are coming over here and arresting our lead vocalists. I told the policewoman that despite the fact that I was reasonably pissed, I was a solicitor and asked if she could secure me access to see Jarvis. She agreed to give it a go. A minute later she returned and said they will let the lawyer in, but no one else. She walked me through the goon fence and I entered the cabin alone. Jarvis was sat on the edge of a sofa, nervously rubbing his hands up and down his thighs. All right, Bob. What the fuck have you done, Jarvis? What has happened? Jarvis looked up at me with his puppy dog eyes. I showed me bottom to Michael Jackson. I laughed, half in disbelief. What do you mean? Did you moon him or something? No, it wasn't me bare bottom. I just pulled the back of me trousers down and pointed it at Jackson. You promise me that that is all you've done? I promise. I told him that he had nothing to worry about and that he hadn't committed any offence. I said I would do anything I could to get him out of there as soon as possible. By the time I left, some more police had arrived. We watched as they negotiated with the goonerage. Eventually, a more senior officer came up to me and asked if it would be okay if they arrested Jarvis and took him to the nearby police station. They wanted to get him out of the building and away from Jackson's people. They assured me that they would release him as soon as he was at the station. I agreed. It seemed fair enough. A few of us followed the police car on its journey to the station. We sang Free Jarvis Cocker all the way there. The police were as good as their word, and Jarvis was released after making a brief statement. we all went back to a posh hotel to celebrate Jarvis's freedom. The Gallagher twins were there. Liam was with his girlfriend, Patsy Kensit. At some point, Liam started to accuse Jim of not being working class and demanded that Jim arm wrestle him to prove which one of them was more working class. That sort of malarkey is right up Jim's street, so he immediately agreed. A table was cleared and the arm wrestle began, with me supporting Jim and Patsy supporting Liam. The wrestle lasted about 2 seconds, with Jim slamming Liam's hand onto the table with a minimum of fuss. Liam immediately jumped up and barked at Patsy, "Right, that's fucking it. We're going to bed. I'm right out of form." And off he strode, utilising his famous super waddle. I think Patsy did eventually follow him. So, that's my Jarvis at the Brit story.